Hare Krishna. Comprehension of scripture comes by absorption, not projection. Books such as the Bhagavad-gita that are widely respected in some parts of the world are often used or misused by the leaders in those parts of the world to garner respectability for their own ideas by claiming that those ideas are supported by or are drawn from the Gita. And thus they ride piggy bank on the Gita. And often such people have their own ideas or ideologies or agendas, and they project these onto the Gita. A classic but tragic example of such projection is the claim made by some Gita commentators that the Bhagavad Gita is a book that supports non-violence. The leaders who may have championed non-violence may have been very evolved spiritually themselves. They may have used non-violence in an inspiring way, and non-violence is definitely an important virtue in today's world where there is so much volatile, where the world situation is so volatile and so much violence is prevalent. In fact, the Gita also lauds non-violence as a godly quality. Ahimsa, Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad-gita 16.2. Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavasthiti danam damascha yajnascha swadhyayastapa ahimsa satyam akrodhastyagah shantirapaishunam taya bhuteshwalo luptam mardavam rirachapalam. So Krishna describes here a list of qualities in 16.1 and 2. And 16.2 he is saying ahimsa, non-violence. And all these are what are the qualities? They are daivim prakritim. They are actually daivi sampada. They are not prakriti sampada. They are all characteristics of the divine nature. So certainly the Gita talks about non-violence as a godly quality. At the same time, the Gita acknowledges that violence is sometimes necessary for peace, justice and progress in the real world, where sometimes the cruel seize power unscrupulously and they need to be overthrown for the good of the world. And such overthrowing may require assertive action that can include violence. So certainly the Bhagavad Gita does not recommend violence as the first course of action, and the Mahabharata, of which the Gita is a part, depicts elaborately how the Pandavas tried tirelessly and with tireless accommodation for peace. But when all their peace efforts were thwarted, were flung back in their face, then they had to use aggressive action. And the Bhagavad Gita directly calls for such aggressive action in 11.33 when it states Tasmat tumuttishya yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihatah purvameva nimittamatram bhavasavyasachi tasmat tumuttishya. Therefore, Arjuna, arise, yasho labhasva, attain victory, jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham. Jitva shatrun, conquer all your enemies. Bhungshvarajyam samruddham, enjoy a prosperous kingdom. Mayai vaite nihatah purvameva, by me have already been killed. Nimittamatram bhavasavyasachi, just be an instrument, O Savyasachi, O Arjuna, who is ambidextrous. So now, what the point here is in this verse is that Arjuna is being called to fight. Now, and that indicates that certainly non-violence cannot be called as the central message of the Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita cannot be made into a book calling for non-violence. Of course, the essential Gita's message is not violence or non-violence for that matter. It is transcendence, and the Gita asks us to transcend our worldly condition and our mental conditionings by fighting an inner war against our lower side. And that the battlefield setting of the Gita, wherein in a battlefield things have to be done urgently, immediately, that demonstrates the urgency of the inner war. Now, all the subtleties and nuances of the Gita can be understood when we look at its text and its context. That means we look at the Bhagavad-gita's text carefully for what they are saying, not just selectively to check which support our ideas, and we see the text in their context, in the larger context of the Mahabharat, wherein the war is the whole epic draws towards the war. So in this way, when we study, then by absorbing ourselves and a consciousness in it, we can understand its import. By projecting our consciousness into it, we will actually not understand the Gita. We will simply be deluding ourselves, thinking that whatever we are doing is sanctioned by the Gita. Thank you. Hare Krishna.